Okay, so at my local beauty supply, they had those two caps that are the same. I've used those before, but this newer one I have never used before, and it looked like it would, it would be a good candidate. And coming to find out, it was actually very perfect. So I usually use these styrofoam heads to do my wigs on. I need a wig block, but I just haven't got around to doing it because I've just been lazy. The hair that I'm using is the Brazilian Deep Curly from Princess Hair Shop. I have two 26s and two 28s, and I have, I think, a 20-inch deep curly closure from Closure Store. What I was gonna do initially is I was gonna start the hair and then put the closure on afterwards, but I decided not to do that. I said, let me just go ahead and put the closure on beforehand. um, I like to double the backs and single the tops, and what I mean by that is to make the hair fit and be thicker towards the end and not bulky at the top. You want to fold them like this, and then you sew the where it folds together so that it does not slip while you're sewing, but it also lays flat when you sew it down. You can do this for a weave, you can do this for a U-part, you can do this whenever you need the hair to either fit or you're just trying to save space. This would actually be very perfect. I knew this hair was going to be big, so I was like, I don't know how big it's going to be once I brush it out, but I do want to make sure that it's not too full towards the top and it starts to look kind of wiggy. So here I just decided that I wanted to go ahead and put my closure on because this will make the most sense to do it first. Sometimes I work backwards, you guys. This is just my life. I'm probably looking for some thread, but I'm actually using the big jumbo needles to do this, and I'm using the nylon thread because, again, cotton just seems to snap, and it also likes to get very, very tangled and knotted up. We don't want to do this. So what you're going to do is you're going to place, even if you're going to have a side part, I would always suggest that you sew the closure in the middle of the head, because this is just going to ensure that everything is centered. If you do it offset, it can work, but yeah, I've seen people do that and it just looks like it was supposed to have been something else. So here I'm just doing the simple loop and pull. Anybody can do this. There are other people who have techniques on how they secure their wefts, secure their sewing, I'm sorry, but and I know how to do those methods as well, but because this wig is just for me, I don't really feel the need to be so meticulous about it or neat about it because it's just going on my head. I could care less how it looks as long as it's flat and it's laid. So you guys are going to see me struggle with this closure because when closures are thick like this and like around the perimeter, which you need that band because it just prolongs the life of your closure for forever. The ones who don't have it, they tend to get stretched out and sometimes they tear. So that thick band is great. Some stylists will cut it down a little bit. I tend to just leave it, and I usually just sew a track around that to cover it, and it always works for me. But the thing about closures is sometimes when you sew one side down and you get to the other side, it doesn't want to lay flat. So I've learned that if you sew one side, pull the other side, sew it down, and then sew the back, everything will be flat. Otherwise, you're going to have a nice little fold, which is not attractive. If it's supposed to be mimicking a scalp, why does your scalp have a fold in it, you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh. Not home right now, leave a message at the beat. That's all that you tell me anymore. Hoping one day, baby boy, it's you I reach. I want you to hear me. I got no time for playing games. Your heart keeps calling me on three-way, saying it's over. Next day I want you, but why don't you make up your mind? Oh, I always get the downtown. Always get the downtown. As you guys can see here, I was very careless with my sewing. I just didn't care. I was on the phone. It was hot. This light was burning my face down. I was over it. Disclosure was acting stupid. So yeah, that's pretty much the life of doing hair. Sometimes things just don't want to act right when you want them to. But yeah, this is pretty much the gist of it. People always ask me, so what do you suggest, lace or silk? Always silk. Silk always looks more natural than lace. Nobody has holes in their scalp. So, if it's a preference, cool. If it's not, definitely give them a try because they're very, very natural looking, especially if they're installed correctly. So usually I'll use stick pins, but clearly I didn't have any. So this was the first, I think this is the first bundle. Yeah, this is the first bundle. This was the second bundle put in. And as you can see, it's starting to get fuller and some more life. This was the third bundle. As you can see towards the top, I'm putting more space in between versus what I was doing at the bottom. And this is to ensure that it's going to lay flat. This was almost the last bundle. And then you see how full it is at the bottom. And then this was the last bundle put in with the closure. And to close it up, I just pretty much took a track and sewed it right around that band that's on the closure. So as you can see, everything is hidden because the hair is so big. And this is me being stupid. Okay, so I just wanted to give like a demonstration of what I mean because I didn't record everything on my tutorial because it's hard to record without me being in the frame. So I want to give you guys an example of what I mean about the closure. This is a closure from Closure Store that I haven't used yet. I'm actually going to use this for some other hair, but I just want to get you guys an example. This is what it looks like when you first get it. This is the back. This is the band that I was speaking of that you use to... These bands will help your closures last longer so that you can pull them and they don't rip. Every closure does not come with one of these, but they're good to have. Some people like to cut them down so they won't be in the way. The only thing that I do is when I get to the top of the cap, I just take either, it depends on how thick the wefts are, but I'll take either one or two wefts and then we'll go ahead and sew those around the perimeter of this to hide that. But most of the time you can't see it because I make sure my hair is laid. So like this hair, I left the cap, I left the band on the cap, but you can't see it because of all this hair that's hiding it. This is usually what the SilkBase will look like. Again, for those who are not familiar with SilkBase or you guys are just wanting to try it out, make sure that your SilkBase closures are not gray because that nobody's scalp is gray. It's light brown or a taupe or an opaque color, but it should never be gray. Like this hair is so silky, it's not even funny. So this is what the silk on a SilkBase closure should look like. So this is what the scalp of a SilkBase closure should look like. It should look very realistic. For those who have a darker scalp, I know Love Kisses 99 has a video about how to dye the silk on this, on your SilkBase closure. If they're too light, to dye them with tea. And they'll darken it up a little bit. Well, depending on how long you leave it in there. But she has a full-blown tutorial on how to do so. My scalp is very light, so these work great for me. So if you are brown skin, light skin, in between, any of that, or you just got a really white scalp, will actually work. Normally when I make wigs, I was using like a regular man's dome cap. And now companies are kind of catching on that everybody's making their own wigs. So I brought a couple of these. I used this particular cap when I did my, remember when I had the red hair with the dark roots? Not the wig, but it was actually what it was from Virgin Hair Obsession. When I had the nice pretty red hair, but it had the darker roots. I used this cap on that, and it worked. The problem with these caps, I find, is that they don't have a size. It says one size fits all, which is not the truth, because this one has a little stretch to it, but it's not, it don't stretch enough. Cap that I'm currently rocking is this one. And this is the first time that I've actually seen this cap, so I decided to get it. So this is my new go-to. So I'll show you guys what the front looks like. It's the make your own wig. And this has the, it says with breathable mesh. It's a dome style cap, but it has breathable mesh texture for U-part wigs and full wigs. So I would suggest these to anyone. When you're putting these on, and I'm sure I mentioned this in my tutorial, I used to cut the band of the actual cap off. So I kept running into the issue, like this part I would cut off. I would sew my tracks all the way through up in here, and I would cut this off. This time I did not do that. I sewed the tracks. I started my double tracks on here. So 4 bundles were able to fit. I mean, 2 bundles were able to fit on this, and then the rest of these were single bundles. So I'm sure I mentioned it, but again, when you are doing especially straight hair and you want to get a lot of bundles onto one cap, what you do is you double the backs and you single the top. So from here to here should be where you want to double them to make them fit. And then by the time you get to the top, depending on how many bundles you have, whether it be 1 more bundle or 2, then it should be just the single tracks. And the single tracks will allow your hair to lay flatter at the top, but still be fuller at the bottom. So then when you swing it, it has weight at the bottom, but it's not bulky at the top, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I hope this tutorial was in-depth enough. I did not show all of the sewing because it's pretty self-explanatory. If you know how to sew a weave, if you know how to sew pretty much anything, you should be able to do so. I don't have a special technique. I do the loop and pull because all the extra stuff that I've seen people do is great for them, but yeah, it's not really for me, you know. So people keep asking me, and I keep getting, and I keep having to say this on, especially on Instagram, I don't provide wigs and I don't make wigs for people. The reason why I won't do it is because it's very time consuming. If I have 4 clients that need their hair done by next week, that means that I will not leave the house for 4 days because I'm so gung-ho or trying to get their hair and do this and do this and do this and do that. So between hair reviews, regular life, getting ready to move, I just don't have it in my schedule to make wigs for other people. I hardly like making my own. So, but there are people that I know who make great wigs that I will refer you guys to. The first person that I think you guys should be familiar with is Tokyo Styles. He does great wigs. I'll put his Instagram and all of his information below, and you can contact him if you're looking to get a unit made, as well as Hair by Raymond. Raymond actually does a lot of the girls that I know on YouTube. Some of their units he's done, you know, just to change it up a little bit. They went to him, and I've seen not one problem or issue with any of his wigs. He makes beautiful units. And the other person is Ms. Latoya, but her name is So Effing Vain on Instagram. She also makes units. So I'll put all of their information below if you guys are looking to get a unit made. I'm very familiar with all of them. We follow each other back and forth on Instagram, so I would never refer you to somebody who I think did shabby work. And I'm sure there's other people out here who, you know, provide those services as well. But those are the people that came to me off of top because I know that their work is really good. So, again, I hope this helped. I hope you guys love this. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. And what do you guys want to see next? I don't know. I mean, like, what tutorial do you want to see next? Because this was actually fun. So let me know. All right, guys.